Okay, we're back, my paperless divas, my undocumented girlies. We're back with some school rate updates. I know this is spooky dooky ooky kooky. I know we're really nervous about school rates. However, there are things you can do to file right now to get status for your minor so that if and when their school is rated, they have some sort of judiciary procedure in place, some sort of documentation in an immigration agency in the US that you can point to and you can say, we're working this out in the court. We're figuring this out. They do have a claim to status and a judge is expecting to rule in the near future. Okay, we're gonna go to Google, Miss Google, and we're gonna type in SIJS. Special Immigration Juvenile Status. That is what we're seeking here today in front of the Lord. SIJS, we call it SIJ. It is a special status for minors in the US to get access to a green card. So you have to be under 21, you have to be under 21 at the time you file for SIJ, and you're going to fill out your I-360. I-360 is a very strange form. It's going to say this. It's going to say widows or special immigrants. We just kind of lump them all together, I guess. But again, the immigration system, it's intentionally confusing. We don't want you to have access to this information. We want to ensure it's hard for you to get access to immigration status. We only want wealthy immigrants who can afford immigration attorneys to file all this stuff for them. But you can DIY, you can Etsy that shit. This is all the criteria you need to meet in order to file for SIJ. So you have to be under 21, you have to be living in the US, you can't file it from outside the US. And this is a really weird one, but super important. You cannot be married. You never have been married. This has to be, I don't know why. It's a very strange rule. You cannot previously be married and you can't get married while this is pending. Until you get status, don't get married. I have a client, we filed when he was a teenager. He's like in his mid to late 20s now. It's taken that long to try and get him status under SIJ. And I have to remind him like every 6 months, please ensure you don't get married because it'll cancel out all the documents we already submitted. This is where the rubber kind of hits the road, is the criteria that you have to prove in order to qualify under SIJ. This seems like really extreme, like abuse, abandonment, neglect, some sort of similar basis under the law. I know that sounds like it has to be a Lifetime movie or life has to be really horrific leading up to us coming to the US. But for example, I've gotten SIJ based off on under abandonment because one of the parents, we had a deadbeat dad situation where the dad was not in the picture. We tried to reach out to the dad. We tried to make contact. And we were able to prove that the migrant was technically abandoned. The minor was considered abandoned because he hadn't had contact with his father in a really long time. So don't let these spooky dooky crazy bullet points scare you into not filing for SIJ, because I've seen SIJ granted under these for things that would not be like a Lifetime movie. Little quirk about SIJ, you're gonna get bounced around the courts like a ping pong ball. You have to go to immigration court for master calendar hearings, and then you usually have to go to a family court in a different district where you're going to be sitting in front of a completely different judge in a completely different jurisdiction, talking about like what exactly happened in your family, how you were abandoned or neglected or abused. You're gonna then get an order from that judge and you're gonna bring it back to immigration court. So you're gonna be kind of bouncing around a lot, but you're gonna get a notice to appear, again, that piece of paper that we want, that we can show an ICE officer and say, hey, I'm in the middle of this process right now. I'm going to court on this date in this courthouse with this judge. That master calendar hearing, that notice to appear, that judge in immigration court is going to be sort of like governing your case. And then you're going to go to all these other little courts and get little bits of evidence stamped, bring it back to that judge. So that's sort of, it's going to be a really complicated and sort of decentralized process. You're going to be kind of going and seeing a bunch of different judges and you're going to be confused the whole time. Spoiler alert, most immigration attorneys are also confused by the immigration system. There's a reason why it's the most complicated form of legal practice. Finally, Google is a big fat liar. It's going to say you're going to get your green card in 6 months. Don't listen to them. It is going to take years. It's going to take a really long time, but that's okay. We are doing this because we want to ensure we have some sort of status in the courthouse being moved along so that if and when we're ever stopped by ICE or our school gets raided, we have some sort of documentation. We can show ICE officers, we can call upon that judge or our immigration attorney and have a receipt, a document that shows that we're in the middle of this process. Again, you're going to see a lot of headlines like this. They're going to be really scary. It is all really scary and spooky what's happening right now. But we're not going to panic, and we're going to take really practical, thoughtful next steps on how we're going to get status for us and our family, right? We're not going to freak out. We're going to take that energy and we're going to channel it into something productive because there's no sense in panicking. There's a lot you're going to see on TikTok of people saying, this is how you run from ICE, this is how we confuse them. I am not going to be weighing in on that. I can't advise people how to break the law. I will lose my license. So I'm going to shut up now.